Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 78th episode of Kouryer Podcast. Today, I'm joined with Valentino Lasso. He's a visual development artist and illustrator from Jalisco, Mexico. And with that introduction out of the way, please give us a little introduction on how we got into visual arts and design.
Hi, my name is Valentino Lasso. I'm an illustrator, and what I like most to draw, or my illustrations are based on, is in nature, animals, and the vibrant colors and all the connection that we have with nature.
All right. And were you about some of the? I want to ask you about your background a bit, like your story of how you become an artist and everything. So the question is, were you originally studying art and design in the beginning, or you were pursuing another career path? Maybe in the high school you had in mind that maybe I should go to another major, arts. I can't go for art, stuff like that. People usually have those type of stuff. How was it for you?
No, I always wanted to be an artist. Since I was a kid, I draw everything that I watch on TV, especially animated movies or documentaries, which from there it came my love for animals and nature. And if it wasn't art or illustration, it would probably be something related with biology or zoology, what I would want to pursue. But I always wanted to create something, that's for sure, since I watched the DVD extras of Monster Inc. That
Uh,
was my first introduction to all this world of concept, character design, animation, art. And it was like, oh my god, I want to create something like this.
all right. Yeah, I can totally relate with that story. I think a lot of people in the art community, the way they got, they realized that, oh, I want to do this for my life, for the rest of my life, is when, for example, they saw some cool art, kick-ass concept art from a video game or a movie or a cartoon. They're like, wow, that looks so cool. I
So
want to
it's
do
cool.
that. Yeah, I totally get that feeling. And the next question is, I mean, of course, in the introduction, I already mentioned that you're an illustrator and a visual development artist, but the question relates to now, the time of now, present time, which is, what is your main branch of design that you're focusing on right now? And tell us about your experience from the start of it until now.
Well, at the start, I was experimenting with a lot of techniques. That's how I, at the end, developed what I really wanted to pursue. Some of those techniques were muralism, some oil and acrylic paintings, and thanks to some masters and artist friends, I developed my technique and my craft. So from there, I started to be more involved in digital designs, Photoshop, Procreate, and that's the moment when I feel free from doing whatever I wanted to do. I started to be more creative with the technique with digital illustration, and thanks to that, I will express more what I wanted to show with the things that I love, that are animals, characters, and nature. I And from those concepts, I created what is my art. And thanks to that, I will be open to a lot of people and also artists that loves those themes and contact me, and I work for them in some works for illustration. And right now, I'm working on an animation studio as a background cleaner.
All right, that sounds awesome. And the
Yeah.
next question is a bit technical.
Okay.
How does your design process usually go anytime you want to start working on a project? Like, what steps does the pipeline of your work consist of?
It it depends on what my I'm feeling like the moment, like, oh, something more simple, or oh, something more complicated. But everything starts with paper sketches. That's where everything came, and from there I pass it to my computer and start always with color. I I don't like to do line art that much, so I always start with color to define how will be the look of the illustration of the drawing that I'm creating. So I am sure of the feeling that it will have. So color is really important to me to have it really defined.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of obvious when anyone who sees your works on Instagram. The colors look so vibrant and fresh all the time. There, I had another guest on the podcast like a couple episodes ago. I think, if I'm not mistaken, she was from Philippines. Daniela Utlang. Yeah, that's her name. Her
Yeah,
coloring,
I watched that podcast, so I can
you
give only
did?
an idea. Yeah,
Yeah, her coloring and works like both your styles like really resemble in a nice way. Like you both have like this certain sense of color harmony and like just how to bring out colors. The freshness, the liveness of the colors. That's actually really one of the reasons that was really I was shocked when I saw your profile and I wanted to message you in the beginning. I
thanks.
was I was kind of like weird at that, but how small of a following you have, like because your works are actually really good, like the coloring, the illustrations. Because I'm personally a fan, like they look amazing, especially your recent ones. I mean, of course, I checked also your earlier works, which I think you
Earlier,
did
yeah,
some mediums on with markers. Those are also
yeah.
look the thing that stands out in your work is your colors. They're really fresh. They look really good on the piece.
Thanks. That's really what I want to people to be attracted to when they see my illustrations. That they say, "Oh my god, those colors look amazing." It's like, yeah, I work so hard to get them right.
Yeah, and especially like it's one of those pillars of fundamentals of drawing that's super super important. Like you
Yeah,
can cheat away a lot with good coloring. Like you can
yeah,
simulate perspective, you can simulate like a lot of things with just different shades of color and just
yeah,
mastering that kind of sense of coloring.
yeah. Light,
S-
shadows, textures.
yeah,
It
and of
also
course
can
we're
be
going to get into
applied to
that
color.
more. Yes, sorry, go on.
No, no, no. I just finished.
All right, awesome. But of course, we're gonna talk about it a little bit more in the podcast. And but before we do that, I want to actually right now that we started talking about your works, I want to actually ask you some questions about them. I see, of course, as you said earlier, that you since you were a kid, you were inspired heavily by nature and wildlife, animals,
Wildlife.
and
Yeah,
you even said you kind of were thinking about majoring in biology if these stuff didn't work out. So there's a lot of like the theme of your works like really gravitate towards like biological life. And first I want to ask, how, like, why do you think is that this certain subject really attracted you?
I think mainly because it's life. I mean, everything it's so detailed and impressive how nature compose. All the animals have their own unique characteristics that define themselves. Plants, rocks, animals, everything has an amazing presence and personality, and I love that. I love how different are they from us, and they're not that different even though, but I love how we can connect with them, with nature. We're part of it. So I'm really into themes that show the connection between individuals. That's why I love biology and zoology. Everything is connected. We are all connected thanks to nature.
Yeah, that was a beautiful message actually what you said. You're absolutely right. And if more people like, I was actually thinking about this today. Like I was playing this new video game I got called Satisfactory, and you're basically on an alien planet doing stuff, making factors and all that. But when the time in the video game was night and I looked at the sky, it was like such a beautiful sky that was full of stars, and I realized just like 100 200 years ago, before there was so much light pollution in the air, every night when our grandfathers and ancestors looked up to the sky, they could see the beauty of the cosmos and everything. And I think that's something huge that we lost now. And I think if we still could see the star like every night, people would think more about like the universe, their existence, how connected we are, and all that stuff.
Yeah, we we are so disconnected with nature at this moment. We just, I mean, it just passed away from our thoughts. People don't really appreciate how awesome the plants are actually, or even the sky, as you said, is so beautiful to look at, and every day is different, but it's always there, and sometimes we don't appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. But with that said, there's also some parts of nature that I would really like to stay away
Oh
from.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Nature is our
but
boss.
yeah, exactly. All right, but another thing I actually want to ask you is that your work is also the nature of your works. It's alone. Your illustrations are kind of abstract. There's like a certain hint of like pure creativity to it. Of course, I mean every artist has to study references for their art, but I think you're one of those artist illustrators that try to dwell on their imaginations as references. So I'm seeing a hint of originality in your works as well. But it's really important. The next question I'm going to ask, because it's
Okay.
related to what I said, and it's, have you ever used your dreams as inspiration for your works?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I'm just like dreaming, and then oh my god, an idea. I, I need to remember it. I mean, and then the first thing that I do in the morning is drawing that idea before I forget it. But yeah, sometimes dreams can really help me to have a really messy but weird conceptualization of something. And it's amazing how on your subconscious of your mind you can find some really strange idea that you wouldn't have if you were awake.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the main reasons that I really wanted to like learn how to actually draw was because since I was a kid I always had like the wildest, most imaginative dreams, and like those super detailed dreams that when you
Yeah.
wake up you're like, did I just saw that?
I just I wasn't
Now,
there. Yeah.
and here's the thing. Here's it really. I think I mentioned this a couple of times in other previous podcast episodes, but my dreams are like kind of movies, like there's camera work, like for
Yeah,
example I
yeah.
see myself from 3D and there's this, like there's so much camera action, and
Yeah,
like
I also
it's
have those kind of dreams like I'm moving and then the camera moves to another direction and then I'm watching myself. Yeah, it's a whole mess, but it's well defined.
yeah, dreams are amazing. Like I think I only could manage to do it like twice to do actually lucid dream. Thank you, neighbors, that was a perfect time to
That was a
Jesus
perfect time. Yeah.
to yeah, to start your repairs. So yeah, I was saying like it's been just two instances for me that I could actually lucid dream, and it's something that I really always wanted to get into, but I've never like other stuff came up, and it never happened anymore. And have you ever been, been able to actually lucid dream?
Sometimes, yeah. It's sometimes I do some exercises of memorizing my dreams. Like, oh, I just wake up and what just happened? I need to remember that because sometimes I'm stick with some dream like awake. Like, whoa, I just dreamed that. What probably should that mean?
Yeah, and all right, let's move on to next question. It's, who are your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most?
A lot of local artists from Mexico are my main inspiration. Alvaro Cuevas is probably the most important person related to art that I ever meet. Claudio Limon, Ricardo Luevanos, all amazing artists that create amazing work, very unique for each person. And also some animators and concept artists from the animation industry here in Mexico. Beto Totul, Diego Freire, and Gaston Pacheco or Mex- some Latin American artists that I can think of, and also creators like cinema directors like Guillermo del Toro, Wes Anderson, Jorge Gutierrez. They're inspired a lot of how I create my concepts and illustrations.
All right, and actually, before we move on to the next question, I had a question. You one of your recent pieces, I think, is from June 5th. Is from the character, if I'm not mistaken, it's like Ed from Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, that's it.
And actually, I had a question. Like, I've seen a lot of like fan art, like especially in the past, like in the around June time. Was it a character challenge or something I didn't notice? Because I saw a lot of artists suddenly starting to draw it.
To Cowboy Bebop stuff. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was for the cartoon design challenge from
Ah.
May, and just submit your drawing during is in the month of May in the Facebook group, and then in June they will upload the most popular or visually interesting designs in their social media like Instagram and their page. So yeah, it was a boom. I was so happy because I loved Cowboy Bebop. I was like,
Yeah,
oh my
actually,
god,
yeah,
amazing.
actually, it's one of my favorite animes as well. But with that being said, I only watched like half of it, and I still haven't gotten back to watch the
Finish
rest
it.
of it.
I totally recommend it.
Yeah, I know, it's
I'm
amazing. I love
actually
it.
watching it twice this year. I
Nice.
just love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of those genres that are is like actually one of my favorite genres is sci-fi slash western. Like
Exactly.
there's another series like in the early 2000s called Firefly and Serenity. Right, the movie
Yeah,
was I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't saw it, but I know of
Do
it.
it, do it. And by the way, for anyone who's listening to the podcast, Firefly is an amazing series. I highly recommend everyone to check it out. And also the anime series, if you're into that, Cowboy Bebop, we just talked about.
Yeah,
And another thing that is actually my favorite video game of all time is the game Fallout New Vegas. It's also sci-fi slash western. Every like it's apparently I realized that's my favorite genre in everything. Like my most favorite, you know.
that combination of genres, Western sci-fi.
It's it's just insane. It's so cool. I don't get it why people don't like it.
Yeah, it have
You
a
know.
lot of style combining those themes. That's for sure.
No, but the symmetry, the harmony between these two genres just work perfectly together. Like you have like a steampunk or with something else. Yeah, I mean it could be cool, but it's just something unique. It's a gem. This kind of genre to me.
Yeah,
And yeah, and all right, let's enough fanboying from me,
enough
and let's
fanboy.
move on. Let's move on to the next question. All right, so what technologies and softwares do you mostly use for your works?
uh, the first I use mainly Photoshop, but at the moment I'm using more Procreate. I find it more efficient and quickly to work with when it's about having ideas more quickly instead of being ready. But I like more the quality that Photoshop have. So I send my Procreate drawing to Photoshop, and then there I detail and arrange color and stuff. But of course, my favorite medium is traditional work. I love working with colors, pencils, and markers. That's when I feel more free to do whatever I want.
Yeah, I'm just right now. Actually, I was thinking I'm checking the price of an iPad Pro and also Wacom HD Cintiq. I'm not sure if the prices are correct here, but a 16-inch drawing tablet with a screen of Wacom Cintiq is like 64. It's roughly $65,000. Am I right, or is the price wrong here?
I really don't know. It's been a while since I checked some
But
prices
the
for stuff.
iPad is like $1,000 or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I've been thinking it. Like I heard a lot of people that, and I think if I actually one day got some extra money to actually buy a good hardware, I would probably go with the iPad as well, because it's portable. It has an amazing Procreate app, and yeah, I mean, as you said,
Yeah, the portable thing about it, it's very efficient.
yeah, exactly. And by the way, not sponsored.
It's not sponsored.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next question. What are you working on right now that you can tell us about? What kind of project are you working on right now? If you're working on anything at this moment.
And right now, I'm working in some cartoon design for a project for it's a game about developing your talents and strengths, like oh, how do you connect with people? How did you enforce your leadership? Something like that. And also working on some dinosaur designs that I want to create like a collection of illustrations with those. I love dinosaurs, so at some point I need to do something with them.
Yeah, actually, your profile picture on Instagram looks pretty cool. The picture itself, I don't know the name. I'm not good with the name of dinosaurs. Sorry, but
No problem.
a triceratops. Yeah, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
triceratops.
my icon is a Triceratops. That's my favorite dinosaur.
They really look like. I think they're the ancestors of rhinos, like modern day rhinos. I mean, they really resemble.
They really resemble. Yeah, that's would be the equivalent of a rhinoceros in
Yeah,
today.
yeah, and apparently chickens are. T-Rex was the ancestor of chickens, so
I
how the
mean, they skip
tables
some
turn.
steps, but at the end, yeah, birds are typically dinosaurs.
Technically true. It could be. It could be. Nothing is impossible. We've come from. I don't know. I think I'm not sure about this stuff, but pretty much we've come from the same ancestors as also chimpanzees.
Oh yeah,
Pretty
definitely.
sure. Yeah. And all right. What area beside the area you're working on right now, which is of course art, would you be interested to explore and learn in the future? It could be even something completely non-art related, by the way.
Mm, What I want to be more involved is in cartoon design for animation more than some illustration themes or something like that. But also, I want to create sculptures. It could be 3D model or with something more plastic. I really
All
want,
right.
and also designs for clothes. I want to incorporate some of my animal designs in some t-shirts or jackets. That would be awesome.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say that you actually reminded me that I think your designs would really look well on t-shirts and hoodies. They will.
Yeah, I want to have a snake hoodie someday of my own design.
Awesome. Please do let us know when you do that so I can
I
give you a
will
shout out later.
definitely.
All right. So, well, with everything that's been said and done, to conclude all we discussed, please give us a roadmap for someone who is zero in visual arts and wants to get to the place you are in terms of skill set. Like, basically, for someone who's here, who's zero in visual arts and wants to get to here, which where you are. And so, what would those main steps they have to take to get there, in your opinion?
Hmm. Right now, I'm still learning a lot of things thanks to some friends and teachers, but something that definitely helped me to be where I am is to observe my surroundings, observe the little details that compose our world, like the leaves, the light, the shadows, and everything that surround our world have its own personality and its richness in personality. And that's my main recommendation, to observe your work and to also observe your work. What define your work? It is color, it is the shapes, it is your concept, your ideas, and from that expand whatever you want to be, to create, and how to engage people to be attracted to your art.
All right. Thank you so much for coming by. Where can people contact you if they had any questions? Is your Instagram okay?
Yeah, my Instagram is totally fine. I be open to any question, and also my email lasso.valentino@gmail.
All right. Awesome. But before we conclude this episode, I want to. This is actually something I started asking everyone like recently. I think it's something super important that I should have started asking earlier, but
Okay.
better late than never. It's not a question, but it's something. Yeah, technically it's a question, but all right, I'm just gonna get into it. Right now, Mr. Valentino Lasso, you've been on this podcast. We had a nice chat, and well, for the audience who's listening and also might listen in the future, maybe in further down, maybe a couple of years later, or months, or days, or weeks, or whatever, in the future, if you could say some last final words from your character and personality, what kind of wisdom and just in general message you want to leave people?
That's a strong question. I think appreciate your connections, like your friends, your family, the ones that really fulfill or makes you feel complete. Some people that be around people that makes you grow up and don't go down in whatever area you are. And also appreciate life. Not yeah, that would be I think
All
that
right.
my last words that I will say.
Awesome. Well, it's nice that we ended this podcast on an optimistic note. And well, thank you so much for coming by, and also thank you, dear listeners and people who watch this on YouTube. I mean, not Instagram. The Instagram doesn't let me upload full
Little
episodes,
clips.
but you get the point. Thank you so much for listening and also joining us on this podcast. And well, that's about it. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you very much.